Personal and impersonal. You are the personal when you are conscious of anything. You are the impersonal when you are consciousness itself. The personal in man usurping what really belongs to the impersonal is called ego. It is a kind of spiritual larceny. What is the difference between perceiving the personal and the impersonal? In principle, both are the same. You perceive both by becoming that for the time being. You direct your attention to the impersonal, and you stand as that impersonal. But for perceiving the personal or objects, you also use the instruments of the sense organs and mind. You concentrate your mind, which is the apparent I, upon that object, and as a result, you stand as that object for the time being. So much so that when I am there as the object, I am not here in the body. Is it possible to see the impersonal in and behind the personal? The personal can never know either the impersonal or even the personal. It is the impersonal, standing behind the personal, that enables it to know anything, even in the ordinary sense. Try to see that impersonal, even in the personal, and that will resolve all phenomenal problems. If the ego dies and still the speech continues, what speaks? Well, certainly the self-luminous self, Atman, not the ego. When you hear a sentence, what is it that connects the words which are already past? Only Atma, the self. Therefore, see that self through words and speech and action. This exercise alone will in due course establish you in the ultimate truth as your real self. Perspective. Looking around, we see individuals, communities, and governments making Herculean efforts to improve the world. Is this all in vain? The question itself is spiritually ill-conceived and illogical. The question admits that you look out through your senses and see a sense world which is imperfect. You want to make it perfect by work, which is also outside yourself. Your sense world is inseparably connected with you through your senses. The apparent imperfection of the world is all the imperfection of the perspective that perceived the world. So apply the remedy at the source and perfect your perspective first. When you become perfect, your perspective also becomes perfect, and simultaneously the world of your perception will also appear perfect. When you look through the senses, gross objects alone appear. When you look through your mind, thoughts or feelings alone appear. And when you look through consciousness, which is perfection, consciousness alone appears, and that is perfection. The worlds appearing in different states are different from one another. As you change, the worlds change also. Standing limited by the body and mind, if you try to change the world so as to make it beautiful or enjoyable to your mental satisfaction, it will be all in vain. The world will remain only as it is. But if you change your stand or perspective and identify yourself with the real I principle, pure consciousness, the world also changes, not as beautiful or enjoyable, but as beauty and happiness themselves, being one with the I principle. So correct your inner perspective alone, and you shall be free forever and happy in whatever world you are. But this is possible only by realizing the truth in all its aspects. Can you speak of the different perspectives towards the world? The scientist identifies himself with the physical body, and so deals with objects and their relationship with each other. The yogi and the mystic identify themselves with the mind as ideas or ideals, which are only subtle objects, and visualize them accordingly. Whereas the Vedantin identifies himself with consciousness, which is his own real nature, and sees everything as consciousness. Man moves indiscriminately between the sensuous, mental, and conscious planes. An ignorant man holds that he is the body supporting the mind within, and that the mind supports the Atma still within. But the spiritual aspirant, the true sadhak, his position is exactly opposite. He feels that Atma holds the mind and that the mind holds the body. So a spiritual aspirant must fix his stand firmly before starting on an inquiry to make sure that his findings are reasonable and correct. How to see things in the right perspective? Suppose you see this stool. The following activities take place there. First, the sense organs supply the form. Next, the mind supplies concepts or ideas. And then the self supplies the sense of reality. Of these three, the first and second items, the sense organs creating form and the mind with concepts and ideas, are disconnected. And they get connection only through the self. So to see through the changeless self is the right perspective. If you see through either of the first two, which are always changing, you cannot come to any definite conclusion. The first is in space, the second is in time, and the third is beyond. So through the first two, you come progressively closer. And in the third, you become one with your own self, which is truth.